Hey, what's up? 7:59. Good to see you. It's your friend James Shaw. Happy Friday. We've made it through another week. I'm thankful you're here. Going back real quick, Kathleen, you brought up what training to go to and so on and so forth. Did you know that we also do free training in Pivot every Wednesday in addition to the the free daily call, Kathleen? Did you know about that?
Yes, I did, and it's great. And sometimes I just can't make it because I'm on a listing appointment.
Well, that's fine. That's why we record it. It's always available. We do a Wednesday webinar every Wednesday at 2 Eastern. And if you always sign up each week, we'll email you the recording as soon as it's over. Everything's recorded and at jamesdshaw.com. So my guess would be whatever you need help with, we at least have something for free about it at jamesdshaw.com. And then if you want to enroll in our stuff, that would be great too. All right, so we are back and better than ever, and we're going to talk about something with the shift because I think there's some fear around it, there's confusion around it, and so I want to explain it. Like, how do you even know if you're in one, and how do we measure it, and what are the things that we need to be looking for? That's what we'll talk about today. And then we're going to take the weekend off and go back to school on Monday while some of you go to San Antonio for Mega Camp. But before we get into all of it, tell us something good, Juan. Good morning.
Morning, James. Hey, quick question. What day is the Wednesday webinar?
Wednesday webinars, we have
Okay,
found the best day for a Wednesday webinar is on Wednesday, one.
great. I was just want to make sure. I shared with this group when we went on the contract, and I shared on Facebook when we closed the new house a month ago, and finally yesterday we moved in. I'll tell you, those 4 weeks, patience. I just was exercising a lot of patience. Anyway, we moved in yesterday. Super happy to be in the new house.
Congratulations. That is
Thank you.
awesome. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Enjoy your weekend there, moving in, getting settled. Maria Sims, good morning.
Good morning. So my something good is my football player has his first game tomorrow, and they had a scrimmage game last night. And this little powerhouse got two interceptions and did so good. And it's just a reminder, he is the smallest one on the team, but he's a fierce competitor who shows up every day. And my something good is my baby is awesome. Whether he gets an interception or not, I love him and I'm proud to be his mama.
Well done. That's awesome. Have a great game this weekend. Dan Tamarkin, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Juan, I want to thank, first of all, publicly for a referral that I sent him. And Maria, awesome job with the call choice, the music choice. My good news is I closed on a referral that I got 3 years ago that I kept in touch with for the last 2 years and like 200 days. And we finally closed. And I want to thank Quinny Collis for that opportunity and to help out her friend, her grade school friend, Alex. So thank you, Quinique. And yeah, just the power of staying up with these referrals and just not letting them fall through the cracks.
The referrals that happen inside of this space get me so excited. Those of you that get on this call, get on the Inspire calls, come to our events, you get referrals that are paying for that investment over and over and over again. So, Dan, nice job. Congratulations. Let's talk about a shift. Those of you going to Mega Camp this week, I imagine you're gonna hear a lot about it. I'm sorry I won't be there, but it's first day of school here. My wife works in the school, so it's just too much going on for me to get down there this year. Vicky Lukacic will be there, so be on the lookout for her. But those of you going to San Antonio, you're going to have a great time and a lot of learning. But I want to unpack some shift things that we need to think about. And the first, actually, we'll start on page number 9. I didn't put that in the chat earlier, but page number 9, which is just what is the definition of one? How do you know you're in one? And Gary just says this. He says shifts are easy to understand. They occur when supply and demand move out of balance. When seller supply exceeds buyer demand, it's a buyer's market. When buyer demand exceeds seller supply, it's a seller's market. And the shift occurs when we move from one market to the other. And it's by definition, quite frankly. This is how we look at it in the US. This is how the US measures a shift. Buyer's market, 7 months or more. Seller's market, 5 months or less of inventory. A shift is 5 to 7, right? Moving from one to the other is a shift. That's it. Now, move up to page number 11, because the thing we've got to remember is that a shift happens locally very quickly. On a national level, it takes longer, but at a local level, it happens very, very quickly. In fact, I've got some stuff. I pulled 3 markets that I want to show you, and we're going to look at different pieces of data from all 3 of these markets that I think will be really, really interesting, right? Let's start in the Northeast. We have a lot of people in Boston on this call. And so I went and pulled month's supply of inventory in their MLS. And look at this, it's 1.5 months for single family and 2.7 months for condos. That's fascinating. What kind of market is that, y'all? What kind of market is that, y'all? Seller's market, uber tight. This is why when the people in Boston get all wound up when I talk about what's going on in the market there. So then here I went and pulled, hey, give me a thumbs up, Frank. Can you see the active housing inventory for sale by month on your screen right now, Frank? Thank you so much. I pulled Boston because they only have 2 months of inventory there, seller's market. But what's happening with what are the trends? Where are we headed? That's another thing I want to look at. And right now, Boston market as a whole is at 7,200 listings. Where if I go like right in the beginning of the pandemic, they're right where they're still below pre-pandemic levels, and in the middle of the pandemic, real close in the neighborhood. It got down to 2,600 in February of 2022, but February is always one of the lower listing months. If you look, February is always super low. January and February always super low. So, but this is, okay, it's up a little bit, but it's not drastic. All right, let's look at another market. So I went and I pulled my hometown of Indianapolis. This is where I grew up, and I was just curious what's happening in the Midwest. 2 months supply of inventory. Now their month over month change is up 10%, but 2 months supply of inventory. What kind of market is that, y'all? What kind of market is that? Seller's market. But let's look what's happening in inventory there. So I went and pulled it. Indianapolis. Whoa, this is a little bit different. A little bit different if we go back into that pandemic time versus now. This is why, if you're in the Midwest, it might feel like the market's moving really slowly. In fact, it's still a seller's market, but because inventory has grown so much, it feels like it's going slower. We want to keep our eye on this. Still below pre-pandemic levels, but we want to keep our eye on this and where it's going. All right, so then I go, that's really interesting. Let's go look Southwest Florida. It's Fort Myers. Just curious what's happening there. Ah, look at this. By the way, if you ask people in Southwest Florida what kind of market is it, they're going to tell you it's a buyer's market. Truth is 6.4 months worth of inventory. Technically, they're in the shift right now. They're in the shift. But a shift happens what? Quickly, locally. Condo market, it's a buyer's market. It's like that all over the state of Florida. We got all sorts of condo problems in Florida. But then I wanted to go back. Oh, interesting. All right, so let's go take a look. Let's go take a look at what's happening. Look at inventory there. This is something, do you want to know why it feels so rough down there? Look at inventory. 12,000 active listings. In the pandemic, they had 1,800. Going into the pandemic, they only had 8,200. They're way beyond pre-pandemic numbers. That's why it feels so rough. Finally, last one, I pulled Pinellas County. This is where I live, just as a perspective. Look at this month supply of inventory, 4.9. We are basically entering the shift in the Tampa Bay area. Basically entering the shift. I was curious. Let's go look. Whoops, I love it when I do that. Hold on. Tampa. There it is. All right. Look at this. 19, almost 20,000 active listings in Tampa Bay area. In the pandemic, 4,600, exceeding pre-pandemic numbers. So these are the things I like to be curious about. What's my board telling me is happening with month's supply? And then where is inventory headed? Now, why do I need to know this? Because I need to anticipate. I need to act like the market that's coming, not the market I'm in if I want to get ahead. And Gary talks about this on page 11 of Shift. He says, are shifts bad? Well, it depends. For the real estate market, for the real estate industry in any particular market, it certainly can be. The available income in that market has dropped. But listen to this part, Dan Tamarkin. For any individual agent in their local market, it doesn't have to be. There is still enough available income for any individual agent to reach their goal. So the challenge for an individual agent now is how they're going to respond to whatever fear is coming up. He says when shifts occur, fear runs rampant. Although not everyone responds in the same way. Some individuals, though they do feel the fear, also know that this is an equal opportunity, unequal reward business. It's really the 80-20 rule at work. 20% of the people will do 80% of the business in any entrepreneurial endeavor, and those who understand this know that they must be better than average to earn better than average. If individuals understand a shift or have actually experienced one, they know they have to push past the fear and face two tests. The first is to survive, and the next is to thrive. They have to hang on, and then it's opportunity time. And here's what it means to hang on. This year, just don't go backwards. If you can match this year what you did last year, you're going to win, and then opportunity will show up for you. Now, I unpacked a lot. I said, here's the definition of a shift, 5 to 7 months worth of inventory. Here's what to go look at. Go into your MLS and look at your month's supply. And your month's supply is going to tell you a story, but that story is in the past. So then we want to go and look at what's happening to inventory. What's the trend? And if inventory is increasing, your month's supply in today's market is going to go up. You're moving closer and closer to a shift. What do? Well, you embrace the fear and seek the opportunity and recognize that a smaller percentage of the people are going to do more of the business, and you're going to choose to be part of that smaller percent by focusing your activities. That's what we're talking about. I want to hear how you handle the shift. What numbers do you look at? What activities do you change? Jenny Lenich, you're up first. Good morning.
That's a total mistake. So sorry.
Okay, no worries. Ronnie DiCarlo, good morning.
Good morning, James. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So, as we say, it depends. So, guess what? Most of us in Central Florida know that guess what? The new construction is always 6 months behind hitting the multiple listing service. So, guess what? Now it's inventory. It's hit the MLS. That's why the inventory has been flooded. And if I go back 2 weeks and look at our demographics, what it is, we have a 5.93 overall months of inventory. I just pulled it today and we are down to a 4 point. It dropped almost 2 points. Does that mean that the market is shifting? Well, it's still hyper local. So you have to be on top of these numbers. So in my market, new construction plays a big part in this.
Yeah, no doubt it will. And they are going to be behind, and they may not put it in the MLS. In other words, there may be more active inventory than you think. It may be a little bit more of a buyer's market or more of a shift than it actually looks. And that's why I'm looking for trends, Ronnie. I'm looking for trends. Linda Brennan, good morning.
Hey, good morning, James. So you taught me how to look at data. So I heard from somebody else that February was their slowest month, and this was a big producer. And I was like, that's odd. February is my busiest month. And before I understood data, I used to think, well, that's because I send out my calendars in December, which is not true. When I really look at it, most of my business comes from my church, and that's a busy season for my people. So by February, they're regaining, or by January, they're regaining, their thoughts. The other thing is, know what's going on in your market. You can't just stay in your own head. Talk to the people in your office. Right now I'm really slow, but there's agents in my office that are selling and they're busy as all. So it's like, I would think the sky is falling, but it's not. I have to look at what I'm doing. And then the other thing is my area, what I'm focusing on now, back at, before the crash, builders were rampant in this area. So what's different now? Well, after the pandemic, they started building again. And now we have inventory that wasn't there before. And what I'm seeing is sellers that can't sell, they're starting to rent. And investors who can't sell are starting to sell aggressively. So that's our market in the next, a lot of people are waiting come spring. There's going to be a lot more homes coming on the market from those people that started to rent. So that's my story that I'm telling my people now.
Well, I think there's a couple things we want to look at, right? I'm going to pull up your area just real quick. This is Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, way too big of an area to tell you what's actually happening in your town, right? But you know that. First is if you look, February, for example, is one of the lowest listing months always. It's among the lowest. It always goes down around that time. You just take a look and see. But look where your area of Florida, South Florida, is now compared to before. 50,000 active versus 20,000 active right in the beginning of the pandemic. Inventory is definitely up, but here's the deal. London Brennan's not going to participate. Linda Brennan's going to have February be one of her best months when historically it's one of the worst in town. Why? Because the state of the market is irrelevant to the individual agent. Period. The end. Jessica Starr, good morning.
Oh, hey, good morning. I got a fast pass. I literally was thinking about this and I'm like, every time I sit at the listing appointments now, I was thinking when Orly said the other day how their inventory had, doubled or even tripled in their area. And that could have just been going from 10 to 12 homes on the market up to 30. And we're the same type of market. We're not seeing, 49,000 homes. We're seeing 10 to 30 homes, which is a big impact percentage wise in our small little towns here too. But we look at that on individual listings when we go on those appointments. And I start talking to them about the greater market. When you tell us things like, hey, there's 49,000 homes down in Florida. And I say to them, like, look, guys, we're not looking at things like that here. However, we do need to price ahead of the market. And I might even suggest being more aggressive with our pricing and going below where we need to actually go, even though these are all the closed sales and it proves that our value will be there. So what we're going to do is price ahead. And the reason being, you guys always get to be strategic in this market. But wouldn't a buyer want to go after something that was more of a sale? Compared to the rest of the competition, that's really obvious for everybody else. And we can still drive up the price in that case because we are seeing the days on market starting to increase. It is a slower time in Connecticut because there's a lot of people and agents going away on vacation. So we're seeing days on market increase. We are starting to finally see price adjustments happening, which we hadn't seen in quite a while on some of those listings. So we are watching that and we're using data from people like you guys that are sharing this stuff to help us price those things. So I think always, though, in any market you're in, whether it's a hot market, a slow market, whatever, you always should just try to price hair under competition a lot of times because you're going to always win if you do that.
No joke. And if you look at what's happening for you guys, like this is not the story happening in most of the country,
Right.
right? This is your inventory is still really low. You got 1,200, and this is a large area again, but this is your area, Connecticut, right, Jess?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you got 1,200 active listings, but man, going into the pandemic, you were, I mean, in 2018, there were 5,200,
Yes.
5,417, 4,619. Pandemic comes, falls off the table, and it's really hovering in the same spot. It's
We're
just,
literally like duking it out for these listings. When I tell
yeah.
you we are fighting tooth and nail for the listings, we are like, all right, we will go into a jello ring and fight for the listing.
Probably sell tickets for that. I'm just saying, probably sell tickets.
Bring it. I'm taking off my earrings. Let's go.
Jenny Wallach, good morning.
Good morning. Everything everyone has said, and I'm just going to add that I recently went out on a listing appointment, and this seller had been on the market for 30 days with a limited service broker. And now they were starting to interview agents because of needing to get to where they needed to go, and the time started to crunch for them. So I did what Phil tells us to do, and I thought about the conversations I wanted to have before so that later today conversation. So I put it as a time block in my calendar and I just wrote out things to ask while I was there. So what is your experience of selling a home in today's market? When was the last time you sold a home? How did that experience go? Help me understand what happens if you don't have the home sold by August when the kids need to start school in your new city. What do you understand about the relationship between days on market and sales price? And of course, these weren't just, rattled off in that order to the client, but they were in my mind and fresh that when I got to the last one about the relationship, because now they've been 30 days on the market without selling. And he says, okay, I get where you're going there. So they chose me to help them sell their home, and it sold in a day with 4 offers. All that they adjusted was a $10,000 price adjustment just to get it to pop up in front of new people. And just yesterday, James, I get this amazing 5-star Google review that said that, we stood out from from all the other agents they interviewed, that I already knew the trend of what they were experiencing in the market. And I showed up with first class solutions to complete their sale. So this is what happens when, yes, you understand all that data, you make sure and tell that story. But me being a student of the Shift book for now, however long it's been out, how long is that, James? 2009, I think, was when I first
Yeah.
started reading and listening to it over and over again. This helps us guys to be the one they choose and the one that they give a 5-star review for.
And your inventory in your market's like doubled since the
Oh, good.
the pandemic. So that's an opportunity for you. You want to take more
It
listings,
is.
take them, prove that you can sell them, and you'll get more of them. Bottom line.
That's
That's
right.
how it works. Jenny, thank you.
There you go.
Kristen Jungles, you get the last word this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, JDS. Thanks for the opportunity. So, what I would say in a shifting market, like you were right about the Midwest, things happen slower here, and we are starting to see those trends. We're starting to see price changes because agents are chasing the prices of 6 months ago, and as we see these things, you couple that with the fact that when you talk to people in your market and you hear people say, "I'm slow," or you hear people say, "I'm going to get a part-time job," or when you hear those things, that is fuel for your opportunity. A few years back at a mega camp, I purchased a shirt that they had at KW and it said take territory. And this is the opportunity for you right now to take territory. When others are slow, you pick up the pace on activities. At the mid-year mark, we looked at our business and we said, where is our business coming from? And those are the activities that we double down on, making sure that we have face time with our sphere, making sure that we're outdoor knocking. Because if you sit back and you wait for the MLS to pop that next house, you're waiting on somebody else to do your job. You need to go out there and seek opportunities that exist in your marketplace right now. Because right now, August, September, October, you're building Q4, and that momentum is going to take you right into 2026. So do not sit back. Figure out the activities that work for you, double down on those activities, and you will be able to take territory in whatever market. It doesn't matter where interest rates are. It doesn't matter where the market is. What matters is how you control your day and how many conversations you can have with people about real estate.
No doubt. There's so much opportunity out there. Grow your skill set, understand what's going on in your market. I gave you a couple of things you could look at, right? Look at month supply of inventory, but then look and see where inventory is heading. Track those things, look at prices, see what's going on there, and you're going to be in good shape. But you got to go talk to people and got to go find your opportunity. Thanks for being here this week. We will be here next week. Many of you are going to Mega Camp, but we'll still have the call every day next week. So I look forward to seeing you on it. Have a great weekend. You got your inspiration. Go put in the perspiration. We'll see you Monday. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, James.